what's interesting is how then condensed some of the elements of that. It comes down to this area that, which we refer to as the Y-shaped stair. It's a very complex staircase. It's a double staircase, one inside, the linking the library spaces, and one externally that links a whole lot of things. So there's this phenomenally complex zone that starts really the life of the introduction into this civic area. So there's a whole series of these staircases in behind me, and then this one that reaches up into the civic square. And then it pleats and affects the part of a massive facade that then extends up for 7 floors. Again, the way we play around with facades, you'll see these spandrel panels. We have mirrored glass in the background. We've cut a diagonal, so it's slightly pleated. So the effects, particularly over the 7 floors, have only just started putting the facade on. It's quite wonderful as it actually plays around and corrupts the vision of the reflection of the sky. So they're just laying our paving for our cruciform. The bridge, small bridge, has gone through many variants, but there is the way it will appear. It's just starting to be hoisted into place over City Square. Again, we tried to make it much more directed. It started off with a bridge that did meander and garner together a student activity along its lengthy journey. And the facade, the idea it's a big dry courtyard, we looked at a whole series of landscape emblems, incorporated them into both the colour, the back pan, the level of reflectivity, and the level of transparency of all these glass panels that make this massive facade that overlooks the civic square. Melbourne Grammar, this project is most recently completed. We had the first of a series of opening celebrations on Friday night. Again, another competition. Here's just the sketching through the competition process, the way we worked through there. But what was interesting, it's a school with the most amazing site. It really is at the end of this great civic axis that starts and runs right down through the whole of the city of Melbourne and terminates at our Shrine of Remembrance, you can see there, but continues on into this Melbourne Grammar plan. It is the most beautiful campus. A series of buildings around the perimeter that face inwardly to a series of sporting ovals. It's always been criticised for being very elitist and inward-looking. They were rather tough outer walls, even the historic first buildings, as its focus was very internalised. So part of the brief for this competition was to reacquaint the building with its surroundings and provide a structure that invited views in and basically a connection back to the world that surrounded it. So we entitled our competition bid as an invitation to connect internally, but also connect back to the city. And I talked about the way young boys coming into this school tend to navigate, and how they navigate by major elements, but also a sequence of spaces and a sequence of things to understand the way a large and often frightening campus can work. So we looked at this idea of providing navigation markers, which was not sort of arrogantly saying our building is going to be the next one of them. In fact, the reverse of that, actually allowing our building to understand those that existed and make sure some of those sight lines and thoroughfare aspects and things were maintained despite our building. So these are the historic original buildings, the quadrangle buildings of Melbourne Grammar School. They're classified by the way the National Trust, and we were to build incredibly close to them. In fact, we didn't stick to the competition brief. We pushed ours right hard up against them, which was one of those crazy moments in a competition where you think it all could be lost. But in a way, I think it was the success of the project. So we built floor plans that looked like this up against the old facade, but had a strong sense of logic in the way this building was going to work and provide, I think, a very powerful and engaging relationship, but one that we deemed to be harmonious with these old buildings. The National Trust of Australia immediately lodged an enormous objection, but through a series of discussions, they engaged with the way this contemporary building would work in this realm, and in the end up being real supporters of the whole scheme, which was interesting.